The market of Dazhi Borough in Tainan was bulldozed after the building sank into the ground due to soil liquefaction. Dazhi Great Love Eye Center helps an 18-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy with their eye problems. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Dennis Wu. Thank you for joining us. Starting the first segment of our program, we focus on the aftermath of the 6.4 earthquake that struck southern Taiwan on February 6. The market of Dazhi Borough sank into the ground due to soil liquefaction and thus had to be demolished. To bid farewell to their home for more than 30 years, many displaced residents came back to watch the demolition.
As the excavator begins to demolish the 4-story building, the residents stand nearby to capture the moment with their cameras.
I really miss our large balcony and long hallway. When I came back, I told my neighbors, it is sad we are meeting again under these circumstances.
The residents, who had been neighbors for decades, have been displaced after the quake. In addition, the stalls in the market on the first floor of the building have been buried underneath the rubble.
I'm thinking about salvaging some belongings since I'm not getting any subsidies. We have lost so much, our belongings have been buried inside.
The affected residents and stall owners cannot bear to see the demolition. However, if the building is not torn down, it could endanger the safety of other residents in the area.
We estimate it will take us 14 days. If all goes well, we can get it done in 10 days. We hope that the other residents in the area will feel safer after the demolition of this building.
As the demolition of the unsafe building continues, the authorities will be saving some building materials for a future investigation into allegations of unsafe building practices.
This is the living room and the bedroom is behind it. This is better than my house.
Under the care of the staff of Tainan Veterans Home, Li Yue Chui, whose home in Dazhi Borough Market was destroyed by the recent earthquake, has calmed her anxiety since finding temporary shelter here more than 10 days ago. 72-year-old Li was rescued by her 3 neighbors. Li's son said that his mother not only misses her home, she also misses the neighbors.
We had to separate because of a natural disaster. We could not have imagined it. It is hard to let go after living there for 32 years.
Therefore, Li wants to see her old home, despite the comforts of the temporary shelter. The devastating earthquake toppled the house and her home, where she stayed for 32 years. The neighbors returned to the site of their former homes, talking about their future plans.
It took me a long time to look for housing. I've looked into 20 to 30 places.
Li's old neighbor, Mr. Ho, has been looking for a rental place for more than 10 days.
When you tell them you are quick victims and will be applying for the government's rental subsidies, many house owners will be unwilling to rent a house because of tax issues.
Despite their separation, the neighbors will continue on despite the ordeal and support each other on their path to rebuilding their lives.
The earthquake left 116 people dead in Weihuan Jinlong Complex in Guizhen District. Hearing news of the tragedy, some 40-plus funeral directors from over Taiwan headed to the Tainan mortuary to offer their service. During the week following the quake, many were working 20 hours a day and sleeping very little, or in order to respectfully prepare the deceased to help the families in their grieving process. I haven't slept at all, but it's only been about 48 hours.
Reflecting back on the past 10 days, Mr. Shi says even though he was exhausted, he wouldn't allow himself respite until the work was done.
On day 7, from 4 in the morning until noon, we were working non-stop, with more than 20 cases. By that point, everyone had been up the whole night. We were exhausted. Some people wanted to take shift, but he said, "No, I'm fine." He shows a real sense of duty.
Mr. Shi and Mr. Xiao are both volunteers from Tainan. After the earthquake occurred, they were quick to start a chat group on their phones to coordinate work at the Tainan mortuary and to recruit volunteers to join the effort. They were moved by the response from people.
We were getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of rest a day before we did get busy again. I really want to express my gratitude to our team of 76 funeral directors and staff. Without everyone, there would be no way we could have completed our work.
The volunteers in these photographs have come from all over Taiwan, including Taipei, Changhua, Taoyuan, Kaohsiung, and Pingdong. In their exhaustion, they would take advantage of any place large enough to lay down in what meager time for rest they were afforded. But while there was work to be done, these volunteers nobly placed responsibility to victims' families far above their own desire to rest.
In aftermath of the earthquake, Tzu Chi volunteers have been giving out bereavement money to families who lost their loved ones to the disaster. Among the recipients is Li Zongdian, who lost 7 family members to the tremor. His left leg was also amputated as a result. Despite the ordeal, Li is staying upbeat and vows to follow in the footsteps of Tzu Chi volunteers to contribute to society once he rebuilds his life.
这是上人给你们的慰问金，这个一个人一份。
Tzu Chi volunteers have come to deliver bereavement money to Li Zongdian, whose 7 family members were lost to the February 6th earthquake in southern Taiwan.
I've come to terms with the deaths of my loved ones. I think it was predestined.
这个看到无嘛真大大啦，无会水安尼就有打伤啊。
Li was trapped in a toppled building for 55 hours before being rescued. Now stabilized and transferred to the regular ward, he shows off his only foot left to cheer others up.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for contributing to society. I've seen your work. Thank you. I will also do my share to make the world a better place.
恢复得很好，然后心理
He's recovering well physically and spiritually. While keeping him company, we have also been inspired by him.
对我们本身来讲也是一种启发。
加油，加油，加油！
Echoing the volunteers' cheer slogan, Li, who is recovering from his injuries, is ready to reciprocate the kindness he has received once he is able to rebuild his life.
Among those lending their strength with the search and rescue effort after the southern Taiwan earthquake was Taichung City Urban Search and Rescue Team, or TCUSR. Before the team returned home, Tainan City Mayor Lai Ching-te presented them with 100,000 NT to reward them for their efforts. After some discussions, the rescue team decided to donate the money back to the Tainan Social Work Department, as they felt the money should be used in a better way. Let's have a look.
Carrying life detectors to locate people trapped in the collapsed Weiguan building, Taichung City Urban Search and Rescue Team seized every second to perform their duties until the whole rescue operation was finished. Tainan City Mayor Lai Ching-te presented $100,000 to the team as an award to express his gratitude. Unexpectedly, the rescue team donated the money back to Tainan City government 2 days later.
We donated this money back to the city government to help the quake victims of Tainan so they can rebuild their lives as soon as possible.
Having been on the front line, the rescuers understand the suffering of these quake victims. After some discussions, the rescuers donated $100,000 back to Tainan City to help the quake victims.
让他们去做重建，或者
They can use the money to help with the reconstruction or to support these quake victims. That's a better way to spend it.
这个比较是有实质意义。
Among the equipment they brought back to Taichung were Tzu Chi's folding beds and blankets. These 2 items enable them to take a good rest at the disaster site before going back to rescue work. So they like these 2 items very much.
The bed doesn't take up much space. It's easy to set up and has multiple functions. I think it is a very brilliant design.
那几天在
Tzu Chi volunteers helped us in many ways and spared us a lot of logistical work at the disaster site.
需要去做的后勤动作。
While the rescuers were saving lives on the front line, Tzu Chi volunteers backed them up after the rescue work was over. These rescuers even donated the money they received. These are all profound examples of selfless love.
In October 2015, Typhoon Lando brought severe devastation to the Philippines and flooding to Nueva Ecija province. In the town of Bangabang, known as the biggest onion producer in the country, nearly 2,000 farmers' fields were destroyed. Thus, Tzu volunteers distributed onion and tomato seeds to the affected farmers. Touched by the volunteers' love, the store that sold the seeds to Tzu decided not to make any profit from the transaction.
In 2015, Typhoon Lando caused flooding in many farmlands in the Philippines, including 1,900 farmers in Bongabo town. To help affected farmers in Bongabo, Tzu volunteers distributed onion seeds to them. 5 months later, the town is recovering.
I'm happy to supply seeds to the farms as I can help them. Selling the seeds at this price, I didn't earn anything.
Tzu seeds are a big help. If not for them, we didn't know where to get the materials to start over.
Most local farmers make a living by growing onions. To compensate for the loss due to the typhoon, everyone works harder. Worrying about a limited supply of water, the farmers spread mulch around the crops to conserve soil moisture.
Some land does not have enough water, so many farmers spread mulch around the plants.
To Victor, it takes too much time to make a proper living with onions. After his elder brother passed away, he has to take care of his sister-in-law and her children. Thus, he asked the volunteers for tomato seeds. The fruits are ripe now.
If we grew only onions, we might never make them big enough that we would get lower yields instead. We would also worry about the weeds and pests.
Malugi, papadamuhan mo, tapos ang kulisap, maraming kulisap.
After the typhoons, the volunteers continue to visit the farmers and their fields. What the farmers grow are not merely the onions, but also the seeds of love in their hearts.
Staying in the Philippines, the Tzu Great Love Eye Center in Manila has helped many impoverished people with eye problems over the years. In the following report, we will take a look at the stories of 2 patients who had their eye problem solved, thanks to the clinic. They are 18-year-old Nita Paula and 3-year-old John Cedric Alido.
18-year-old Nida is running a grocery store at the front of her home. Her interaction with the customers seems completely normal. However, 3 years ago, a cataract almost took away her eyesight. When her family had finally saved enough money to treat her cataract, a typhoon ruined her chance for receiving the treatment.
We were ready to take her to the hospital for a surgery on her left eye, but Typhoon Haiyan struck, and our savings were gone in an instant.
Fortunately, Tzu volunteers came to her aid and helped her receive 2 surgeries. Nowadays, Nida not only is able to earn money for her family, but also dreams of becoming a chef.
As long as I'm still alive, I'll support Tzu because they helped me finish my schooling and get a job. And above all, they saved me from being blind.
The boy throwing rocks with his mother by the seaside is her 3-year-old son, John. When John was 1 year old, his left eye developed retinoblastoma. The family had no money to treat this disease, but without proper treatment, the tumor could kill the young boy. Fortunately, Tzu helped the boy get a free surgery that removed his left eye and the tumor, and saved his life.
We couldn't afford the treatment for my son, so what the volunteers did was very important to us. It was like giving us a new life. Without them, my son wouldn't be here today because of the tumor. If no one had helped us, my son would have left us.
Now John has an artificial eye in his left eye socket, so he never feels ashamed around his peers.
Thank you, Master Zeng Yan. Thank you for your help. Moving on to Canada, Tzu volunteers in Vancouver recently traveled for over 2 hours to Mission to serve Indigenous elderly living in the mountains. Due to poor transportation or physical handicap, these elderly tend to postpone their visits to the hospital. Together with the International College of Traditional Chinese Medicine of Vancouver, volunteers treated the elderly's health problems.
City volunteers in Vancouver, Canada, are visiting an Aboriginal village 80 kilometers away to hold the first free clinic for the Chehalis First Nation. As soon as he gets off the car, volunteer Miao Wanhui, deputy CEO of Tzu Canada branch, begins to slouch as he is feeling sick. But he still props up his spirit and says some words of reminder to other volunteers and doctors. Then they start setting out the venue. Some villagers don't understand the form they need to fill out, so volunteers explain it to them to ease their worry and doubt.
Maybe you can only go like this?
Leona has been suffering from knee pain that makes her unable to bend her knees or squat down. After a Chinese medicine doctor applied acupuncture on her, she is able to walk up and down the stairs easily again.
It feels great.
Yeah.
Because when I go up the stairs, I would try to put weight on it, and then it would ache.
60-year-old Margaret also suffered from knee pain. Once a doctor told her that her only solution was to lose weight and have a surgery. However, acupuncture eased her pain and enables her to do movements she couldn't do in the past.
Where I find other medicines like this, like herbal medicines, acupuncture, things like that, go back and really go into what the person may need. Generosity, I think, is amazing. I love that.
The service that was provided, I know that there was quite a lineup and I had to wait my turn, but yeah, I really appreciated the service that came out today.
The Aborigines tend to be advanced in age and suffers from hypertension, high blood sugar, and high blood fat, but they tend to ignore them. So besides treating them, the doctors also provide health education to their patients.
30 years ago, the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital was established to bring quality medical care to remote areas so no one will be without access to quality care. Since then, 5 more Tzu Chi hospitals have opened, with each one bearing the same mission. Knowing that not everyone can visit a hospital, the Tzu Chi hospitals have long launched their own medical outreach programs. We now learn how the Tzu Chi hospitals are serving their communities.
Sitting 1,000 meters above the sea level, this Wednesday evening in Lidao, Tainan, is a quiet one. Less than 10 homes in this less than 200 household community have their light on. And then there is this clinic by the police station and fire department.
It's because I don't want to travel down the mountain, so I'm here. I would have gone down if I could, but it was already 5 or 6 when I came home, and I don't like driving at night.
It's wonderful to have them here. People here, especially the elderly, often don't feel well. Now they don't have to go down the mountains. You know, right now the buses are not running.
After the 9/21 earthquake, the damaged Southern Cross Island Highway is always troubled by falling rocks between Tianlong and Lidao whenever a typhoon passes by.
The roadway is always full of debris and is always under construction. Once we had a flat tire on a section full of debris. Thankfully, our driver was really skilled and managed to slowly bring the bus to a stop on a narrow mountain path.
The area no longer sees tour buses, but the medical bus from the Quanshan Tzu Chi Hospital has been visiting regularly over the past 13 years. Even when roads are blocked, the medical outreach team will find some way to reach their destination.
If we don't come here, those who need medication to control their chronic illness may run out. Also, a small cold might turn into pneumonia or asthma attacks if left untreated for 1 to 2 weeks. It is impossible for every village to have a clinic or a hospital. That's just not possible. However, if villagers cannot make it to a hospital to see a doctor, how about we bring doctors to them?
Thus, the National Health Insurance Administration began implementing integrated delivery system in 29 remote townships nationwide. The Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital is responsible for the largest, Xiaolin Township. The Guanshan Tzu Chi Hospital in Taidong is responsible for Haiduan Township. Even though not part of the national plan, Da Pu in Jiayi has a 24/7 medical station staffed by the Dalian Tsuji Hospital, and Li Shan in Taichung receives regular visits by Chinese medicine doctors from the Taichung Tsuji Hospital. Making house calls has been an integral part of all Tsuji hospitals since 1991.
I feel much at ease with you here. At least we now know his health condition. We don't have to worry now.
Every time you come up here, the feeling is different. If you don't see a patient on the next trip, there will be a sense of loss. After all, you were bound with them by visiting.
The medical bus visits twice in a week. As Grandma Chiu is blind and living alone, Nurse Chiu Yanting, who is from the Bunun tribe, always makes sure to stop by.
She's not very good with Mandarin. When the doctor asked about her symptoms, she just said coughing. But when I spoke to her in our native tongue, she said she has been coughing for days and also suffers muscle ache and headache.
On their way, the team saw less than 10 patients. The evening clinic hours also had few patients. Still, the clinic opened its doors the next day at 6 in the morning.
With me sending out the words on the PA system, they will know to come. If they don't come at night, they will visit the next morning.
The cost of running these clinics means little when lives can be saved. The Yuli Tsuji Hospital is also the first to open its doors in the town.
Wherever there's the most need, that's where you go to serve. That is the most appropriate.
At Shiko Township in Jiayi, the elderly look forward to attending a class organized to help them with memory retention. Staff from the Dalian Tsuji Hospital have come directly to Shiko Township to conduct the class, which is being offered as part of the hospital's Alzheimer's prevention efforts.
Once you put your white coat on and go into communities to serve with sincerity, people welcome you with love. This is something we do voluntarily. We don't use a penny of the government's money. Still, we carry out the work full of happiness, as this is something that needs to be done.
Whether it is saving lives or raising health awareness, Tsuji hospitals have weaved together a life-saving network by serving their communities. And thanks to this network, no one will be left without quality medical care.
To help prepare 6 dilapidated schools in Hualien better prepare against natural disasters, the Tzuji Foundation is funding their reconstruction project. A joint groundbreaking ceremony was held last Friday at Mingyi Elementary School. We join the event at the end of today's program. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.